Merry Christmas and happy holidays, everyone. It was time for a little bit of a special run. As you can tell from the name Santi, Crimus, and the Delibird, we're doing a Delibird only run of Crystal. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, actually. And this first battle shows you kind of how it's going to go in the early game. So Present has a chance of doing one of a few things. It either does a little bit of damage, it does a decent bit of damage, or it does a lot of normal damage, or it also heals the opponent. And it's literally just a dice roll. it's all you can do, and it's the only move that Delibird gets from level up in this generation. Now, you can later use TMs, but at the start, it's just this. It's a nightmare, to be honest. You can see that we almost lost that fight. I did show here that Struggle is a valid option, and you'll see that I actually do use Struggle a few times. Against Faulkner here, I'm like, we'll give it an attempt. We'll see what we can do at level 11. And Presents do not go in my favor at first. I get tackled. Delibird is at least not taking too much damage, which does help. We do take out the Pidgey pretty easily. Pidgeotto is slightly stronger. The good thing is Faulkner kind of sucks. Like, his Pokemon are not very high level. But you can see that if we just can't do enough damage, which even when Present does the decent damage, it still doesn't do a lot. And then there's always the chance of healing the opponent. It's just, and also it misses. I don't know whose idea it was to make that move miss with how bad it is, but you know. So I decided to end up doing the Sprout Tower instead, because I had to do it anyway. So why not just do it, get the few extra levels, see what happens. You'll see once I get to the top of Sprout Tower, that was actually when I had the little epiphany of like, wait a second. I can just use Struggle, and I do a lot of damage, and that damage is very consistent, whereas Present is not. Technically, Present is better, because they're both normal moves, I think. Actually, no, I think Struggle is untyped in this gen. But yeah, Present would be better if it hit the strongest amount, but that only happens like a fourth of the time. So I just used Struggle strats, and I actually ended up beating Faulkner this time without too much effort, even though it was kind of close. We got a little bit of a clutch crit, but I don't think it mattered. Faulkner was probably as difficult as he's ever been, to be honest. This is when I figured out that, oh crap, Present is a normal move, so I'm kind of walled against any rock types, so I opted to teach Delibird Mud Slap, and that ended up helping a lot. Bugsy was tougher. I did, I had Mud Slap for the accuracy drops, which was kind of nice, but for the most part, we were just Present and pray that I didn't heal them. The early game was basically going to go like this. There's not much that we can do. Scyther was particularly scary because we were on a time limit. Fury Cutter was going to eventually do enough damage to kill me, so we had to take out Scyther very, very fast. Within probably like 5 or 6 turns or so. As you can see, I didn't because I missed a Present, because for some reason that move can miss. And then I lost. I did opt to teach Delibird Swift, though, which is just consistent damage. You'll notice that as time goes on, Present is worse and worse, and I just opt to use normal moves instead. Which Delibird stats are not great. They're quite mid, but when he has actual moves, he's not the worst thing ever. So we do end up beating Bugsy without too much trouble. I just went right to the Miltank fight, and I did teach Delibird Return, because Return is really, really good. Since this was a solo run, the only Pokemon we were going to be using was Delibird, so it would get a lot of happiness, and Return would do a lot of damage. Unfortunately, Whitney did have Rollout, and Rollout is the worst thing ever to Delibird. It's 4 times effective, it puts me on a timer. So I just have to go for Mud Slaps and pray. I did lose, so I decided to level up and see if I could do it again. I wasn't worried too much about over-leveling, because again, this was a solo run. But I do go straight for the accuracy drops, and it's not working out for me great, but I keep going, still not working out. Getting really unlucky in this fight. But we're getting some luck, so I go for a turn. Getting close. If I can get one more hit. And Milk Drink, yep. Yeah, we gotta love Miltank. Good old stall Pokemon. I just sped up because I was like, I'm done with this. I don't even care about the footage. Just let me kill this thing. And then it kept stalling, And eventually it hit rollout. I lived somehow. I really needed a miss. I didn't get it, and that was the end of the fight. So this was when I taught Delibird Headbutt purely for flinches. I was like, if I'm going to win this fight, it's going to be a combination of flinches and mud slaps, and I did. So it required some luck, you know. Morty was not awful because I did have Mud Slap. If I didn't have Mud Slap, I felt like it would have been really difficult. The problem is, I was kind of a bottleneck of the run, which you'll be seeing soon. Haunter goes down in 2 hits, but Haunter can use Curse, and if Haunter used Curse, then we're basically on a timer. A really, really fast moving timer. And then we have to take out Gengar, which does not die quick and can also use Hypnosis. So that combination was brutal. It was basically impossible to get by. So I just leveled up a bunch until I was able to take out the Gengar a little bit quicker, and then I still just needed to hope that I didn't get cursed. I didn't get put to sleep. Curse is the bane of any solo run's existence, and you almost always have to go up against some Pokemon that does it in these early gens. So we just kept going, and we lost. So this was when I did something interesting. I kind of combined the strategies. I got rid of all of my moves except for enough Mud Slaps to take out the Ghastly and the Haunter. And then I was going to struggle on the Gengar, which was a bit of a weird strat, I admit. But it would be consistent damage, and I figured it would do more than Mud Slap. You can see here the Hypnosis mixed, and I got really lucky. And then I think I had one more Mud Slap for the Gengar, just to lower its accuracy a little bit, yep. And then I used Mean Look, which was good, and then I just struggled. And you can see Struggle actually does good damage. I got another lucky miss, and then struggled. That was basically the end of the fight, because the last Haunter couldn't do much to me at all. Right. Yep, easy fight. Good job, Delibird. Why do I forget the 5th gym leader's name? Well, anyway, he's a joke. You'll notice I only really showed the gyms, and that's because if I can beat the gym, then you can imagine I can beat everything else. So only show the important parts. Yeah, he was no problem. Jasmine was slightly more difficult because it was basically a damage check. If I couldn't one-shot the Magnemite, I would get paralyzed, and then I would just get bodied, basically. Because even at such a low level, they could still hurt Delibird a lot, because Delibird's stats are not good. Delibird is quite bad. So I decided to go kill the red Gyarados and do the rocket hideout and all of that. Which, again, I didn't really show because, you know, that I can beat those if I can beat everybody else. Price was easy, especially with Fly. Fly was now just consistent flying type damage. And he was low level because the levels in this generation are a little wonky. So we had to over level enough for Morty that some of these fights were not difficult anymore. But believe me, once we get to a fight later in the game, which you know what I'm talking about, it was a living hell. Pilosmine has such a good sprite in this game. Anyway, Return and Fly just wins everything for this. It's just way too strong. Then I went back to Jasmine. I used Mud Slap. We were now able to one-shot, so we passed the damage check. We wouldn't get paralyzed. And because I beat Price, I actually got Icy Wind. Which I will point out that you could have gotten Blizzard at this point if you grinded, which I think would have been smarter, but I forgot about it. But Icy Wind still did tons of damage. You almost died to that, though. That Iron Tail was strong. It is a freaking Steelix, so. And we did it. With that, we only had one more gym leader left. One that I was initially scared about until I remembered that I could teach other moves besides Present. And then as soon as we got Icy Wind, that was just GG for Claire. Like, she wasn't going to really be able to do anything. It meant that I, was able to beat her, and then Lance shouldn't be too bad with Delibird, just because I do have the Ice-type moves. Why I have such a long pause there. But yeah, Claire wasn't bad at all. Just Icy Wind, Icy Wind. Again, the levels are weird in this. All the last few gym leaders are so close in level to each other that you're going to kind of end up out-leveling them. Probably even in a normal playthrough you would. Gen 2 levels are really weird. Especially for all the Kanto gym leaders as well. Which I don't actually show many of the Kanto gym leaders, but we do the Elite Four. And we were level 63 at this point. We had kind of the same moves we've been using. First member was not that bad, to be honest. We did have a little bit of trouble in the Elite Four. But again, they're lower level than even like the gym leaders, which is just wild. I don't know why the levels were so weird, but once we got to a point that we were able to beat like Jasmine, because that was a damage check, by that point we were kind of stronger than everything else. That even if we were a Delibird, we could kind of brute force it. Just go for the Icy Wind, the Xatu goes down. Wasn't too bad. Basically this entire team was weak to ice. So ice and flying is a good type combination as far as like offense goes. If you come up against certain things, you have options. Like I can fly on the Ariados. You have options at the very least. Double team was scary. Also, fly misses ruined my life a lot, as you'll see later. We just kept going. Didn't have too much problem. Fortress, this was funny, I'm not gonna lie. I was trying to figure out the best way to do damage since it kind of walled me, so I just flew up in the air. And he just had Protect, which means I couldn't fly. I couldn't get any neutral damage, so I just powered through with Return and Icy Wind. But it did enough damage. Muck was next. Muck took no damage from Mud Slap practically. Minimize was terrifying, I'm not gonna lie, it always is. But you just kind of brute force it, then Return does so much damage. I believe Return, once your max happiness, is like 120 power or something like that, and this Delibird definitely had max happiness. That's why Return is like a must for solo runs, because it's just going to be so strong. Toxic was potentially scary there, because then that would stall me out, because I can't switch. But again, Delibird did it. Bruno was not difficult, again. We kind of had an answer for everything on Bruno's team, because we are ice flying. Even if a couple misses made things worse than they had to be. I went for the Return, it unfortunately didn't kill. Neither did the Mud Slap. This thing lived a lot longer than it needed to. Hitmonchan came out. Tried the Fire Punch, but couldn't quite work. Next was Onyx. Did Bruno have the exact same team? I think he actually does in Kanto. Because I'm doing a Kanto run at the same time for Gen 1. Machamp. Machamp was the only one I was really scared of, but as long as the fly hit, we were going to be fine. Because that Rock Slide was basically a one-shot. It doesn't matter how high level I am, rock moves just melt Delibird. It is the same team. Well, Hitmonlee is not very tanky, so it goes down immediately. Because of the Sandstorm, we did take a lot of damage from that, though. Now, the last member was where things got really, really rough. Because Umbreon was quite tanky. Really, really tanky. So it could set up, it could do a little bit of damage. But next, the Houndoom was what was really terrifying. I was not able to one-shot this under normal circumstances, only when I got a crit. And that is important for later. Because Gengar was kind of a nightmare here. had Spite so I couldn't Mud Slap, it had Lick to paralyze, had all sorts of status. I don't remember if it had Curse. Yeah, it did have Curse, yeah, so it had Curse, it put me on a timer, it paralyzed me. So at this point, I was basically at the mercy of RNG, whether I would actually win or not. As you can see, I ended up losing. But when I got back, we tried again. Went for the icy win. I don't think that will be enough. No, it's not. Can see we go to Houndoom again. I opt for the Mud Slap to try and get a miss because I didn't think I'd one-shot it, and I did end up getting it. Then we took out the Houndoom. Then we were back at Gengar again. This time I actually managed to land a few of my attacks, but it went right for the Curse. The good thing is in these gens, if you knock out the Pokemon, then you don't actually take Curse damage. So my timer wasn't as bad, as long as I could just hit my moves and kill. Thankfully, the last few Pokemon were very weak to ice, so I was able to just kill them before the Curse could really do anything to me, which helped out a lot. Now Lance. Lance's biggest issue is going to be probably the Gyarados and the Charizard. That's what I was assuming coming into it. I was really just hoping to get this kill, which I did. Charizard was the scariest. I just kind of needed to brute force my way through. Thankfully, Gyarados setting up the Rain Dance helped with the Charizard, so I didn't take as much damage, because that would have probably almost killed me otherwise. Dragonite wasn't much of an issue, just Icy Wind. Charizard was definitely the biggest problem in that. Something I was thinking about, though, this fight did have like a check. It had a speed check. I'm pretty sure if I did not outspeed the Aerodactyl, which Aerodactyl is very fast, I think I lost this fight immediately. Because I'm pretty sure Rock Slide would have one-shot me at almost like any level. So I actually did need to outspeed Aerodactyl to win this fight consistently. That's what I think, at least. I don't think Delibird would have lived a Rock Slide even at like level 60 or something. But we did end up beating Lance, and we beat the Elite Four. Ignore the playtime, I sped up a lot. Now, we came back, and the first fight that actually gave me trouble after this was the fight against Blue, believe it or not. None of the Kanto gym leaders were hard. I was so over-leveled at this point that I just kind of melted through them. But Blue is a different story. His Arcanine was actually terrifying, because it hurt a lot, and his team was actually pretty high level, especially compared to everyone else. So you can see that I got melted and burned by Arcanine. So my return wasn't going to do anything, and I basically had just lost that fight. So I decided to try it again. Almost got that crit, that would have been nice. I did decide that the thing that changed this fight was I got Leftovers, which is the item that I kept on Delibird from this point on, just to heal up enough damage to not die to like the Alakazam or anything else that would come hit me. Because my health was going to be really low from the Arcanine, since I wouldn't be able to one-shot it. Thankfully, by the time that I got up to anything too bad, my health was a lot better. I was particularly scared of a Hyper Beam from this Gyarados. I was trying to outlive that, but it ended up going for Rain Dance, which just did nothing but help me win. The last fight... Oh wait, I thought it was done. Anyway, this fight I do win this. So the last fight and the rest of this video is just Red. That's how bad Red was. So let's go over what happened here. Okay. So Pikachu was not a problem. Okay, I tried this at 80 first, which I obviously wasn't going to win. But Pikachu was not a problem. Pikachu is easy to beat. Either one-shot it with return, Mud Slap return goes down. Charizard was a nightmare. This thing was the bottleneck of the run. Because as you will see, I cannot do much damage to it. And Charizard, wait for it, straight up just one-shots me. It's not even a critical hit. I tried it over and over and over again. It's not a damage roll, it's just a straight up 100% kill. Which meant I either needed to do one of two things. I either needed to one-shot Charizard myself, or I needed to live an attack and then two-shot it. So to try the other way of doing it, I use Rain Dance on Pikachu to try and outlive the flamethrower, which was a fun strat. It ended up not working too good, but it was a fun strat. Because you see, I will live this now. But after I got hit with Charm, my attack was so low that I just couldn't do anything, and I also didn't two-shot it either. So things did not go too well for me. It was at this point that I was like, okay, something's not working here. I'm going to level up against the Elite Four a bunch, and because at this point it was just, it was a damage check. You know, I needed to two-shot the Charizard or I needed to live. So I went and I grinded out Blizzard. I gave myself that instead of Icy Wind. And now at a higher level, and with Blizzard, I decided to go again. Return was now a one-shot on Pikachu, which was good. And I use Blizzard here, and let's see what it does. You can see it does a lot. And we got a critical hit, and we killed. Next up was Espeon. Went for the return. Did a lot of damage. Reflect. I opted to go Mud Slap to kind of get the reflect turns down because I needed return for Snorlax. So we just kind of ate the Psychic and we just waited, stalled out as much as possible. Stalled out more. And then now was time for the Snorlax, which I was originally pretty scared of. But once I saw about how much damage we were doing with return, I wasn't super worried. It was a 3-shot. Which is impressive. It just shows how strong return is. We didn't get paralyzed, which was huge. Venusaur was not a problem at all. We just went for the Blizzard. And obviously we kill. This is probably the most tragic moment of the run, I'm not even gonna lie. I'm gonna break the fourth wall for that one. So you see, we missed a fly right there, and the Rain Dance got set up. I use return. It uses Surf. I tried to see if I could maybe win this. Okay, this actually wasn't the most tragic point. I was trying to see if I would survive, but I did not. Spoilers. And the only reason is because I missed that fly. So I tried again, and you see that I don't kill. It's actually only a critical hit do I kill the Charizard with Blizzard. I do survive, but by the time that I get to the Espeon, I would die to a Psychic or something. I see if return does more, it doesn't. But again, we're low enough health at this point that we do die to the Espeon or the Snorlax or even the Blastoise. So I tried a combination of strategies with the Rain Dance, but then I got thundered and then I got paralyzed. Eventually I got another crit, which unlocked the ability to win the rest of the fight. And the rest of the fight proceeded normally. This is what you'll see is I wanted to be consistent with the fight, and the only way to consistently win the fight was to be able to one-shot Charizard with Blizzard, which had to happen at a higher level. But you see here, the only way I lost this fight was if there was a critical hit on Surf, and that's exactly what happened. I was heartbroken because I was basically done. But, you know, at this point, I was like, it's important to me that I very consistently win. I think it goes against the challenge if I have to get a lot of luck to do it. So I just leveled up to 100, which was about the level it took to one-shot Charizard. Now, if I still had the Never Melt Ice and I used that with Blizzard, I got rid of it because I thought I'd only use leftovers. But if I had Never Melt Ice, you probably could have won this fight at like 88. 90, something like that. Because all you needed to do was KO the Charizard in one shot, which that would have helped you do. But I decided I wanted this fight to be consistent, so I would just level up enough to do it. And this worked. This is a consistent way to beat Red with only Delibird. You just need to get a little lucky. You need to not get paralyzed by the Snorlax. You can still do it if you do, but it helps if you don't. You need to actually one-shot the Charizard, which was consistent now. And then this ended up being my winning attempt, I'm pretty sure. No, the next one. You need to hit the blizzard, you need to not get paralyzed, you need to hit another blizzard for the Venusaur. Thanks for the follower there. And then you need to get the returns, not die to a crit, and then that's how you beat Red. It was hard, but it was really fun. I did enjoy doing this a lot. I definitely want to do more solo runs. I had a blast with it, to be honest. It was really, really fun. I enjoyed it a lot. But anyway, that was the Delibird only run. It was a really, really good time. And that Red fight was super fun for as hard as it was. I'm glad that I didn't rely on luck, though, and I actually came up with a consistent strategy to do it. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it a lot. Sub, I'd appreciate it. It lets me know I'm doing good. Also, like, I appreciate it. Thank you.